Repeated Ukrainian attacks on Russian airbases and other strategic facilities have raised some questions about the potency of Russian air defense systems. Ukraine has been able to hit Russian Dyagelovo and Engels airfields, which are located deep behind Russian lines. To make matters worse, the Engels airbase is home to a Russian strategic bomber fleet, and the attacks have forced Russia to relocate part of its fleet to the Far East, which will influence its ability to launch missile strikes at Ukraine. But how was Ukraine able to hit a military airport 600 kilometers behind the front line? For months, Western governments have been ignoring President Zelensky's requests to grant them the necessary means to attack targets deeper behind Russian lines, so as not to provoke further escalation. So, the Ukrainian army has come up with a brilliant solution. They have emptied their stocks of Soviet-era long-range drones designed for a strategic reconnaissance and converted them into guided missiles. While the Russian military is said to possess the best arsenal against aerial attacks, it is having difficulties intercepting low-tech or suicide drones from the Ukrainian side. The Russian S-400 long-range air defense system is considered the best in the world in its class, but this system is made to shoot down enemy jets and cruise missiles from farther away. It is not made to shoot down slow, low-flying things like drones. The short-range air defense systems, SHORAD, such as the Panzer and the Tor, protect key infrastructure and military facilities. These systems are capable of tracking and engaging low-flying and slower-moving objects, but these systems are in short supply. Considering the length of the front line, a larger share of these systems is allocated to the protection of the troops, headquarters, and logistical centers in Ukraine. Also, Ukrainian precision artillery and HARM strikes have taken their toll on these systems. The number of SAM launchers and combat vehicles is limited, while the number of dispersed strategic civilian and military facilities is incomparably greater. Ukrainians have repeatedly been able to bypass the Russian air defense by oversaturating isolated launchers with targets. Every strike is preceded by advanced reconnaissance and the identification of Russian air defense positions. After the positions are set up, the Russian air defense is tested with a series of smaller attacks meant to see how the Russians respond and what they do to stop them. With the help of Western strategic intelligence gathering platforms and commercial satellites, such as Maxar, Ukrainians are then able to find the weak spots in the Russian air defense network, launching a real attack at those junctures. While some of the assets are indeed shut down by the air defense, most of them are able to break through and successfully strike their targets. This exact modus operandi has been used in the latest Ukrainian strikes on Russian strategic bases. But what can Russia do to stop these attacks? Attacks on strategic facilities have shown that besides SHORAD systems, the Russian army needs integrated air-ground communication networks. Each air defense battery, and sometimes even squads, are operating on its own without having operational data on the air situation in other areas. While the powerful S-400 radar has the ability to track dozens of targets at longer ranges, it is pointless if it is not linked with SHORAD systems with the actual ability to engage those targets. Russian AD commanders rarely have a full picture in mind, which seriously affects their decision-making. In modern operations, the effectiveness of air defense depends on both reconnaissance and targeting, as well as the speed with which decisions are made both on the ground and at headquarters. By utilizing these weaknesses, Ukrainian aircraft and missiles have managed to regularly pierce the anti-access bubbles supposedly created by the Russians over their troops or military bases. However, the Russians have been able to work around these flaws. Russian air defense crews have demonstrated exceptional adaptability since the start of hostilities. After initial hardships, they quickly adapted and completely neutralized Ukrainian Bayraktar TB2 strike drones in the first few weeks of the war. They have also learned to recognize HIMARS strikes, which has somewhat reduced their effectiveness. Still, it will be interesting to see if those weaknesses will be dealt with by the time Ukraine has finally received longer-range weapons. And considering the latest developments, it might happen sooner than later. We'll keep you posted. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and hit the subscribe button to be notified of new videos. And let us know what you think in the comment section below.